Hi guys. A lot of people have commented and I've kind of wondered sometimes about the relationship between Jorge Hernandez and his wife, Paige. I have done a video on this before. They're like the most twisted couple probably in fiction. I shouldn't say the most. Someone's going to argue with me. For me, they're pretty twisted. But I normalize them in the best I can. I try to normalize them. But anyway, so I often talk about how they're a little bit twisted, but yet they're so connected. And a lot of people like that. And I'm not somebody who would be normally interested in writing a romance novel or about that topic at all. It's not my thing at all. I don't like watching in movies about it or anything like that. It's just not me. It's not me. But there's something about this couple, and I really can sort of dive into their story, and I get it, and on a level that I never thought I really could when it came to this sort of love. I never thought I'd get the intensity that kind of connection can have. Now, that might make me sound like a terrible person, and maybe I am, but it's okay. It's just I couldn't really grasp that. But anyways, moving away from myself, I'll just continue to carry on and tell my story. So when it comes to Paige and George, now this is the funny thing, and I think I've talked about this in videos before. I never meant to have him married. So what happened was George came along. He wasn't in the first or second book. He didn't come along, I think, I think it was the second book in the series. He came along later in the book. Sorry, yes, it was the second book. And then he took over. He took over at that point on in the third book and everyone since. So it wouldn't matter if, like my last book centered a lot on his wife. She was his angel. It centered a lot on his wife, Paige, but yet he told the story because there's just no way of getting out of it. He can run in the show here. I'm just going along for the ride and telling you the story. He runs the show. When I brought him in the second book toward the end, I thought, okay, first of all, this guy I knew he was taking over. The next book, he was taking over. There was no going back. He was going to be the protagonist. He is just such a strong character. When you have a character that strong, you can't get away from, like, they really kind of take over the story. You just can't not do it that way. So anyway, he came along, and I, at the same time, was thinking, I just kept visualizing the story with a couple. And the couple, it was very clear that they had a very strong, very intense relationship. Very, very connected, like look at each other and could almost read each other's minds. And I kept visualizing that. I kept visualizing scenes. And she was very strong. She was very dangerous. And he liked that. He was drawn to that. He thought that was very sexy. And, I really liked this couple. And I thought, geez, I'm going to have to write 2 different books, I think, at once. Because I really got to write about this couple. But I gotta continue my series because I really gotta write about this Jorge Hernandez guy. I just gotta. And then it kind of occurred to me one day, maybe it was one and the same. And I thought, I don't know, because he really did not seem like a relationship guy at all. And I just couldn't see it. I couldn't see it. But then I thought, maybe that's the beauty of it. Because as a writer, one of the best things you can do is put a character out of their element. Because then it's interesting. It's interesting because you kind of see where they go with it. Because you're not even sure. I wasn't sure. I did not know how intense this would become. It could have just flopped. But there was just something about him doing something that seemed very out of character. He was not the, oh my God, head over heels, I just met you kind of guy at all. Not even close. So to see him in that situation was, I think, what captivated people. And it captivated me because I hadn't expected it. And I think readers that kind of started with the series and have been reading consistently probably didn't either. And it just was so unlike him. But then again, like I said, that's the best thing you can do. If you can throw your character into the deep end where they're not, then when they can't swim, it's always interesting to see how they get out. And for him, that was a situation where, you know, he was the tough guy. He can handle anything that came across, anyone. You didn't fuck with this guy. And then, oh my God, he meets this woman he's completely obsessed with. And it was really interesting because he kind of lost a little power and he wasn't used to that. And it made him very uncomfortable and a little maybe self-conscious, even a little insecure, which also he wasn't used to. So it was just very interesting because I think he did, yes, at the very beginning, he actually had done some research on her. He had somebody investigate her to find out what she was really about, and she found out she was mad and furious, and she was going to push him away, and he wouldn't let her. And anyway, the point is that, you know, because this made him feel so out of control, and he couldn't handle it because he was always in control. So the point is that we have to put characters, which I've talked about in other videos too, out of their comfort zone. But at the same time, sometimes it's interesting just to see how they react. Because I wasn't even sure. And it became this very, very intense relationship, which was not a surprise because he's a very intense person. And he's also a very passionate person. So it all kind of came together. And it's, I think, what intrigues people. People really like this couple. And I think it's because of that power. People like that. People like passion, intensity. They really look for that, and it grasps you. It really grabs you. That's why when you're watching a show where there's a very emotional, very intense, you get so drawn into it because it just captures you, captivates you. And whereas if you don't really care about the characters and you don't really care what's going on, you kind of half watch and you're like doing something else at the same. But other shows you watch, you're just like, you know. And this is how I think he draws people in. But also in this relationship, again, because it was so different from what you'd expect from him. You did not, and people like that, like the bad boy or whatever that, you know, falls for the good girl and is all, you know, which doesn't, I don't know if that really is, that's not relevant here because she's not really a good girl. But the point is the person you least expect. There's something about that, something that people like about that. And they unexpect it because you're not really sure what's next. So anyway, this is why I feel that this relationship is so important to readers, why they're so drawn in. Even I was captivated as a writer because I wasn't sure where it's going. So it was kind of neat just to see where he was going to take this and how he was going to react and how he reacts even to this day when it comes to family situations and his kids and when something goes wrong. Especially if his family. If it's outside of his family, he's got it covered. Doesn't matter what the hell it is. He's on top of it. No problem. But when it comes to stuff like family issues and his wife, it's makes him a little bit uncomfortable. This is not his area of expertise. It would be like asking him to knit a blanket, you know, he'd be like, what the fuck? I don't even know where to begin. That's how he feels with his family a lot of times. It's kind of funny too sometimes because he squirms. He's like, ugh, I don't know what to do. And with his relationship. So, one last thing, and I should have mentioned this before. When I first started writing about them, there was a song called Miracles by Jefferson Starship. I could not get out of my head. And this is what made me think of doing this video. I heard the song again yesterday and I thought, oh my God. I remember how that impacted my writing when I first had this couple together. And I think that was another thing. It was kind of a miracle. Because these people were so different and so counterculture from the rest of society. So just vastly different, vastly different. These aren't people that are going to connect with 99% of the people out there, and probably even more. You know, like 99.9% of the people out there, like they're not going to connect with most people. And the fact that they met and they did have that connection and a lot in common, I might add, similar backgrounds, it's just kind of crazy. Anyway, I think that's kind of covers why people love this couple. What do you think? Do you have a couple in books, television that you just are so drawn to, and why? I'm kind of curious. Send me a message. Anyways, guys, like the video, share. Thank you. Have a good day.